Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing details. In 2021, Tudor launched this, the Tudor Pelagos FXD for the Marine Nationale of France. A long-running collaboration between Tudor and the aquatic elements of the French military dates back to the 1950s, and surprisingly, this watch isn't a tribute to that legacy. It is the latest edition, actually designed as per the specifications of the elite French amphibious unit Commando Hubert. So this is a modern-day military contract dive watch that just happens to be mechanical. Let's take a look at the basics. It is still titanium, like a standard Pelagos, and like a standard Pelagos, it is 42 millimeters, but here's where things diverge a little bit. You can already see that it's a no date. You can already see that the bezel is fully calibrated up to 60 minutes, and by the way, that it is a count down bezel. But what you can't quite see is that this watch features fixed lug bars on the underside. The case is cut from a single block of titanium, and as a result, it measures a little bit unconventionally. So let's start with the basics. It is a 42 millimeter case. Then if you include the underslung strap, which is an essential part of the watch, it's 14 millimeters thick. If you measure it lug to lug, the total distance across the wrist is 49.8 millimeters, but the actual lug-to-lug dimension is the measurement from the outcroppings on the bottom. So you can see how they actually project a little bit beyond the lugs themselves. So the total distance across the wrist is a beefier 51.5 millimeters. Well, Tudor claims this is a 22 millimeter strap. I measured it. It's more like 22.5, 23, so just be advised of that. Now, a quick note about the strap. The watch comes in two different versions. It cannot fit a bracelet because of the way the lugs are shaped. You have your choice of this textile strap, which uses Velcro for security, and I actually like the Velcro thing because that gives you incremental adjustment that's finer than a conventional perforated strap. And if you get the Velcro, you get this little buckle right here, which is also made of brushed titanium. But if you want to wear it on a rubber strap, you can see this is the rubber strap, and it has a molded in textile pattern, but make no mistake, it is a piece of rubber. It is much thinner and more flexible, and in my opinion, a lot more comfortable, but you don't have quite the minute increments of adjustment that are possible with a Velcro strap, where adjustment increments are almost infinite. Here you do have to put up with some pre-selected perforations, and this comes with a different buckle, which is more conventional. Critically, neither one of these is a classical NATO strap, so you don't quite have to worry about one of those gooseneck closures that do add a lot of thickness and bulk. Now, I'm going to show you both of them on the wrist just because, well, why not? My wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference, and you can see that when I put the watch on the textile strap, it actually wears a little bit larger. It's going to loop through the other side, but you get the general idea. It's pretty broad across the wrist. I'd actually not recommend this watch for a wrist smaller than 16 centimeters in circumference, which is exactly what I've got right here. You can see it looks just fine, but because of the way those lugs are shaped and spanned across the bottom, it is going to reach just about out to the edge of your wrist. Even your wrist is more oval than round. Now you can see that there's a little textile strap down the center to add some contrast, and you've got quite a lot of adjustability here with the Velcro, so you're going to find the right fit. This is going to be bulkier on the wrist, but easier to fit, whereas this is going to be a lot more comfortable and supple on the wrist, but you might find that you're in between holes in the strap, and it's always unsightly to punch new holes. Plus, they're so closely spaced that if you did try to punch between them, you might wind up creating one giant perforation. So this is my advice. If you can wear it on the strap, do wear it on the strap. If you want to look full spec war, put it on Velcro, or if you're in between sizes, put it on Velcro. All right, jumping back, you can see that we have a ceramic insert within this count down bezel. So a lot of dive watch bezels count up to 60. This one counts down like a mission timer. And unlike a lot of dive watch bezels, including other Pelagos models, which have partial calibration, usually out to 15 minutes, and then abbreviated increments, here we have the full thing up to 60. This is a long-time feature of military spec dive watches, dating back to at least the 1960s. We'll do a loom shot here, and you can appreciate that the bezel itself is fully loomed. So if you want to use this bezel, which is bi-directional, by the way, you can time increments and it is 120 click. We're just not used to this bidirectional bezel type deal on a dive watch. It feels weird, but it tells me that the Commando Hubert have very little concern about the ISO 6425 that defines a dive watch, and more concern about their own specifications and functionality needs. Now, taking a quick look, you can appreciate that the watch is fairly matte and anti-reflective. Everything's satinated. We've got these little machined bevels that remind us of the era of hand-beveled Tudor and Rolex cases. That's back when they shared cases. We have a screw-down crown with a Tudor shield on it. We have the Tudor shield again on the dial. The watch is 200 meters water-resistant. The dial's entirely matte. It has a few heritage elements that hark back to the so-called snowflake submariners of the late 60s through mid-70s, and you can see what appear to be printed features on the dial are actually applied solid blocks of loom. We'll do another loom shot of the dial where you can see that these actually have length, width, and height. They have volume. They are three-dimensional applique blocks of loom. Now, the watch does feature hacking seconds. I'll fire it up and wind it so you can see it in its operational glory. But we do have a hacking or stop seconds function. We do lose the date function from a standard Pelagos because it would be a distraction. It would add more complexity. And from an aesthetic standpoint, it would spoil the balance of the dial. That's not a concern for the Marine Nationale, but it actually does improve the aesthetics if you are a sports watch purist. Now, underneath the case back, which by the way features the year of manufacture, we have a Tudor caliber MT506. Important to note here that MN means Marine Nationale. You can see the logo right there. But each year, the case back will be updated. So the original ones featured M.N.21 on the case back last year, whereas these feature M.N.22, and that will continue to update as the series progresses through the years. So the MT5602 is a bidirectional automatic winder made by Tudor's movement factory, Kinesi. It's got a 70-hour power reserve. It is shock resistant, courtesy of a winding rotor ball bearing, a full balance bridge, and a free sprung balance. It's adjusted in 5 positions. It's certified as a Swiss chronometer. It beats away at 4 hertz or 28,800 vibrations per hour. It has an anti-magnetic silicone hairspring, and it pivots on 25 joules. That's a lot to take in. Just note that it is the technical equal of any Rolex movement, and whereas it has been quite some time since Rolex watches were equipped to specification at military units, this maintains the August tradition of elite forces using actual mechanical watches. So, reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.